the heat. I am
Did he touch you?
No.
Did John Cusack touch you?
Oh, so I guess we've just jumped right in,
I guess we have.
Piece of candy, go for a ride, little boy.
It's called male bonding, okay? Haven't you even seen Wild Hogs?
Welcome to the Desert Island Institute of Film. I'm Dr. Paul.
I'm Diet Dr. Paul.
I can't fire them. I hired these guys for 3 days a week, and they just started showing up every day. That was 4 years ago.
And we are your tour guides into the realm of film analysis. That's what we do. We talk about father son talking about movies. We love movies. We love hanging out together. You should hang out with your son, your daughter, your brother, sister, your family.
That is not a family, okay? They're a bunch of greedy, selfish people who have our nose.
But this is a different kind of Desert Island Institute of Film. Tell our massive audience what's so different about this episode, or these episodes we've been doing.
It's different because it's something new.
Man, I don't know what the you just said, little kid, but you're special, man. You reached out and you touched it by the heart.
No, so
rolled out wonderful bean footage.
We did the Sevens, and we did Film Fight Club, and we did
Mount Rushmore.
And then we've done some reviews of some newer movies, but we want to look at maybe some older stuff and finally come to conclusion on these things, whether they're good or they're bad. Actors, directors, movies, series, studios, whatever you have, and we're going to do that.
Yes. And what or whom, because normally we pick a film, and now that's over and done, and it's 20, 30, 40 years old, and it's okay, what do you really think about it?
Mm-hmm.
What's the verdict?
Mm-hmm.
Or we talk about an artiste.
An artiste.
And which are we doing today?
We're going to do our first actor.
Yes.
And it is John Cusack.
Yes.
Bum, bum, bum. More like John Cusack. Just kidding. I didn't say that.
When I told you earlier that this prepping for this episode changed me.
Changed you. Okay.
It did. It made me mad at you.
That's not my problem. It's yours.
Because we've argued some of the points that I came to, some conclusions that I came to. We've argued about those before, and you've pretty much dug in, and now I have John Cusack on my side.
And I am going to back him up with my strangling vines. Choke on that, sucker!
Oh, I'm in for it.
Yeah. So essentially we talk about what's the good and the bad, and then what's the ultimate verdict.
Mm-hmm.
Now, going into this, was it your idea to do John Cusack? What's your relationship with him?
Well, we used to date, but...
Oh, you're going the right way for a smack bottom, and I don't care who knows it.
No, I remember vividly as a kid, you told me at one point that John Cusack had never made a bad movie. And I don't know why that stuck with me, and I used to use that. It's like, if I see John Cusack in something, okay, that's going to be a good movie, let's watch that. And I don't know, somewhere along the line, the man tripped and fell into a portal and landed in a different dimension.
Must be some kind of hot tub time machine.
And I don't know what the heck's wrong with him now. He slipped and fell and landed in a loony bin. Maybe it was trying to be John Malkovich. Maybe that's what did it.
I have seen a world that no man should see.
Really, for most people, it was a rather pleasant experience. I mean...
Well, my recollection is it wasn't John Cusack that I said that about.
Uh-huh.
It was Michael Caine.
No, you said that about John Cusack.
Okay.
I promise.
I'm not crazy. My mother had me tested.
Well, it might have been like...
But this would have been like...
Yeah.
2003.
Right.
Right after Runaway Jury. Probably.
Right, before 2012.
Yes.
Is,
oh, way before that.
Okay.
I was much younger. Yeah.
So, but do you think he's and obviously he's made some bad films?
Well, to that point, I would have heavily agreed with you, and even some after. Okay. But at some point, like I said, it's changed.
Okay. And so you categorize typically in terms of an artiste. So what are your levels?
Well, he had a lot of movies, and I'll just be honest with you, After about 2012, I have not seen a lot of his films. Well, I've seen some of them, but I just didn't dive in because I would see some of the ratings. So classics, good, bad, and watchable classics. I got Grosse Point Blank, High Fidelity, Say Anything, Stand By Me, and Runaway Jury. I have in the good, and this is actually one of my favorite like guilty pleasure movies. I watch this movie all the time. Hot Tub Time Machine with him in it, where they get stuck in the 80s. It's so good. City Hall, Con Air, Thin Red Line, Being John Malkovich, Identity, 1408, and Love and Mercy. Everything else is pretty much either I haven't seen it or it's bad or unwatchable.
Okay.
And actually, I remember now what made me think of John Malkovich is I tried to watch Dragon Blade, which is a newer film from him from 2015, where he fights against Jackie Chan in a martial arts movie. Now just let that sink in.
There's a pitch.
John Cusack's fighting against Jackie Chan in a martial arts film.
Is it like Indiana Jones when he just pulls out a gun and just...
No, he's got a sword and a helmet and armor. He's the general of an army.
Wow.
Of like the Roman Legion or something. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it's just a head scratcher.
Where else are you going to get such insight?
Right?
Yeah.
Where else are you not going to have to watch Dragon Blade because I watched it for you?
I just had good and bad this time because and I thought you were reading my list because you were doing it right off. I mean, I got Grosse Point and High Fidelity. Say Anything, which you sort of I don't think you mentioned. Grifters.
Oh, I said Say Anything.
Grifters.
No, I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, you've got to see.
I know there's early in his career. There's some movies that I just didn't see because they're older.
It's you know what a grifter is.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, him and I can't even. I should have wrote this down. I mean, they have all kinds of grift that they're trying to pull on people, kind of stuff, and it's family. It's his mother. Love and Mercy, 1408, Runaway Jury, Identity, City Hall. Pushing 10. I don't know if
I haven't seen Pushing 10, but I know that's a good movie. It's
Billy
well
Bob Thornton kind of stuff. Yeah. Con Air, 16 Candles. You didn't mention that was.
Oh, he's such a small part of it.
He is, but he's
just like right there in the.
Now, when you go back and you see him kind of stuff, it's like you can see he's got it. Even then, he's it just.
Same thing with like Stand By Me. He's not really in that for very much either. But
yeah. First of all, I think is there another artist that has the kind of range that he has? Because he's done horror, he's done comedy, he's done drama, Love and Mercy. He deserved an Oscar nomination for that.
That was a great movie, and it was good to see him back in it.
I love the chemistry that he has with his sister. I
like her too. Yeah,
that was just it was just brilliant.
She's in Grosse Point Blank. She's his like liaison or assistant.
Yep, and then in High Fidelity, she's the friend of his girlfriend that he.
I don't remember her in that one.
Yeah.
I like those two movies. They're classics.
They really are, and it's one of these things you can just watch them over and over.
Jack Black is great in High Fidelity.
Yes,
he's great in that.
Yes. No, I think he is an amazing, and his filmography is just. There are not very many people that wouldn't trade for that.
He's very relatable. I think that's why he does a lot of third wall breaking in his films, is because he's very relatable, especially just for like standard audiences. And he's easy as an actor. He's not something that's difficult to like enjoy him. Like maybe some Daniel Day-Lewis movies may be an acquired taste because he's such a crazy actor. Cusack is very accessible as well.
When he's on the screen, no matter who he's on the screen,
guy.
You are paying attention to him. I mean, I've read stories about Steve McQueen and other actors complained about Steve McQueen because he would always do things, even if he wasn't speaking lines. There's a scene in Magnificent Seven, and he's messing with his hat, kind of stuff, and people say, "Why are you doing that?" Because people just draw their attention. Cusack doesn't have to do anything. His presence on the screen draws you to him. And he's a likable guy. I mean, it made me sad preparing for this because I didn't realize how many movies he made that I've never seen or heard of that are despised. And so it was a problem for me because I thought this was going to be like the good is everything and there is no bad. The bad is we don't get enough John Cusack movies. But then I sort of bumped into this and I had to say, what is going on? Why?
That's the whole reason why I picked this guy.
Clever girl.
Yeah, why is it bad choices? Is it whatever?
So we're at the bad then.
Huh?
Are we at the bad then?
I guess we are.
So you said that what you said about his acting, he's got an eclectic, or say that again, whatever.
His range,
his range.
Comedy, horror.
I will agree that
he's in 3 Stephen Kings, 1408, Cell, what was the other one? Stand By Me?
Yeah. I'll agree that he's done an eclectic mix of genres, but I will also say that he's kind of a one-trick pony when it comes to being an actor. He doesn't have a lot of range. He is almost a carbon copy of himself in every film. He does the quiet talking where he's introspective, thoughts out loud in every film. He's very just sort of like copy-paste for me. And I think he's kind of worn his welcome out with big movies. And I'm not sure.
You would say 1408 and Love and Mercy?
His tenor, his voice, he doesn't change how he acts for different roles. Like Jack Nicholson is very different in differing roles.
Right, he disappears. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I don't see that with him a lot. And I think he struggled with disappearing into roles after Love and Mercy. That's really where he fell apart. Yeah, 2003 to 2004 to 2014, he did some bad movies in there. But since Love and Mercy, he has done, I think was said, after 2014, 14 of his 15 films did not reach 5 out of 10 points on IMDb. And IMDb is usually a little lower than Rotten Tomatoes. So that I don't know if which is the goose and which is the egg. You know what I mean? Is it that his range wore his welcome out, or vice versa? But I just don't see the same.
I think that this is an example of, yesterday we were talking about locus of control, internal and external locus of control. And I think what happened to John Cusack is an example of, I think he lit a match to Hollywood and blew it up. And that is what happened. That was the issue. Well, he has done several interviews that has essentially he's called out Hollywood that in terms of what they wanted from John Cusack is for John Cusack to look cute. Okay. And as you get older, as his first criticism he has his Hollywood is that that Hollywood is a young man and young woman's game, but it is especially devastating to women and how Hollywood treats women. And so you think about cosmetic surgery and the number of women that it's like we don't allow women and men, but especially women, to age. And so you get crazy cosmetic surgery that happen for people that are trying to that's one of his first criticisms is like, this is wrong.
That's why you see a lot of actresses that start young disappear in the middle of their career and don't come back until they've aged, because I think they struggle with seeing themselves older on screen.
He also that he said that Hollywood doesn't want to make good movies anymore. And this is where you and I
they want to make money.
Argued. Yes, that he said that back when his very good friend was in charge of Disney, and said at that time they made Con Air and The Rock, right? Mm-hmm. But the trade-off was this whole notion of we'll do one for you, we'll do one for me. One for me. And so it was during that same time period where they did Con Air and The Rock That's when Grosse Pointe Blank and High Fidelity happened. That's when Summer of Sam happened with Spike Lee. With Rushmore was released. He says those films wouldn't be released now, because what happened is it's no longer one for me and one for you. It's 6 for them, and it's all done by committee. That unless you're willing to put on tights and be a superhero, that's the only kind of movies that people will, that you can get funded in Hollywood. And I have said how many times, if they just took the funding that it's going to take to make a Marvel movie and they do 10 smaller films, that's essentially what he is saying. And Hollywood reacted against that. And there's a number of people, the movie Whale.
Brandon Fraser.
Yeah, I mean, he stood up to Hollywood, and what happened to him? He's ostracized, and nobody will touch him. He can't. That's why he says, nobody will hire me. So it's essentially, I have to go and take roles, because for me, it's more about, I'm trying to make the best product that I can. But yeah, nobody's going to offer him anything like that. He also sort of lit the political match as well, and has come out really blasting Democrats. That and Hollywood is considered to be much more liberal, and has said that the Democrats have failed the middle class. And in the same way that Hollywood doesn't really care about the film and care about art, they only care about making money, is that the Democrats only care about getting elected. I'm watching these interviews with him, and I'm seeing this, and it's resonating with me. And in the end, it's like, here's a principled, he's too good for Hollywood. He really is. I think he's an amazing actor. I think he's one of the best that we have. And just looking at that, his repertoire, I think there's a part of him, he was overexposed that sort of led up to this. And I put him in the same category as John Travolta, Steven Seagal, Bruce Willis. After a while, you just see so many of those folks.
I would also consider most of those guys pretty overrated too, except for maybe Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
But to go back to something you said about 20 minutes ago, him, you can be upset about Hollywood and what movies they make, but I'll say this, whether you're right or you're wrong, Hollywood is here to make money. So they're going to do what people are going to spend money on. So if people are spending money, they're going to do it. So unfortunately, you're in a business where
High Fidelity made money, but
not as much money as something else. It's a business. It is what it is. It's a flipping business, and you can't sit there and profit and become a multimillionaire from it and then complain about it. In the other hand, that business built you, and you look like a schmuck when you say stuff like that.
Well, I don't agree with that, and I kind of think that to say, it's like, you go into a store, and I went to the grocery store, and I said, do you have any tomatillos? And they said, no, we don't have any tomatillos. They won't sell. I'm like, I'm here to buy tomatillos. So you can't use the argument that somehow that they don't sell, so they're not going to sell unless you carry them.
But that argument,
in the same way with films,
that's some major main character syndrome you got rocking on there. You're upset that a store doesn't sell tomatillos when they tell you that they don't sell them, but you're there, so that's proof that they should carry tomatillos. You might be the only person. Maybe they had 6 years where tomatillos sat on the shelf and nobody bought them.
Well, I will tell you now that a month after that, they started and they still stock tomatillos. It's not because of me, but I do think that there's something to be said. It's like somebody made a decision, and it might have been somebody saying, "What is this thing?" I mean, you don't even know what a tomatillo is. I just think
that's exactly right. If people don't want it, they're not going to have it. Well, you can't get mad at McDonald's for not having tacos.
I was looking at the list of films that are available in a movie theater that's close to us. Thinking, man, I really feel like going to a movie. But it's just pretty much, it's a bunch of animated films for kids. It's a bunch of horror films. And these big budget sort of, explosions kind of stuff. I say, well, where are the smaller films? Where are the independent films?
At the
Where
independent
are the
movie house for $60 a ticket.
Yeah, I like, when we started off, we always talk about we like all films, but it's harder and harder to find foreign films, silent films, black and white films.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
I don't think it's true. Any more or less true than it was 30 years ago in America. I don't agree with that. I think you're wrong.
I think your taste is in your mouth.
I think you're just sad that John Cusack sucks.
I thought you loved him.
I did like him until 2014. And then you could say that, you want to do the best that you can. You can still pick and choose your movies, man. You don't have to do everything that comes across the table. And I think you're saturating your own market and you're making people think of you less and less and less. You're never going to get back to Hollywood or to making Oscar-level films if you don't stop making bad movies, man. You have to stop. Brendan Fraser stopped. He took his time off. He took his lumps. I'm not saying that that's right or that's wrong, but it's the reality of the situation. And constantly doing The Cell and Dragon Blade and Singularity, The Raven, 2012. If you keep doing that stuff, then that's all people are going to think of you as.
Well, I don't know personally why. I know you got to pay your bills. I know there's also a part where you're trying to take, in your own work, you have students that are more talented and other students that are perhaps less talented. You don't simply say, I'm not going to work on the less talented ones or the less motivated ones. It becomes a challenge to you as an instructor kind of thing, is how do you take something that's less than stellar and breathe life and quality into that? And that might be what he's trying. Again, you can't really read into the why of that. And you're talking about since 2012 till now, that's over a decade. So if you did one film a year kind of stuff, then now you got, 10, 12 movies.
15 movies.
Yeah. So that's about one a year. I don't know that that's necessary. Maybe is what he's done, is that he's cut back and he does one movie and it's just to pay his mortgage or pay his alimony. I don't know if he has alimony
It's
or
a
this kind of
fool's
stuff.
errand to think that you're going to make a career or the rest of your career off of uplifting independent films. Because what we see a lot of times is Clerks, we were talking about the other day. Clerks was a perfect storm. The sum is greater than the parts. And so they're perfect storms. It means they don't happen very often. So trying to catch lightning in a bottle every year seemed like a bit of a fool's errand if that's what he's doing. There might not be a more likable on-screen purveyor of personas than acting icon John Cusack. On the silver screen, he truly is a man of the people, a voice for the little guy, a staple of self-deprecating comedies and introspective dramas for most of the 80s and 90s. Once the absolute gold standard for leading men, he's now been cast out of Hollywood to fend for himself. His career trajectory is a bit like a roller coaster that went off the rails somewhere after the peak. Once the undisputed king of relatable rom-coms and edgy dramedies in films like Say Anything and High Fidelity, Cusack's filmography is now in straight-to-video purgatory. His recent outings are filled with questionable titles like Singularity and Blood Money that land with a thud instead of a bang. While his ability to deliver captivating monologue remains, these films are about as exciting as watching paint dry. It's a far cry from the days when Cusack had audiences cheering him on with a boombox held high. Like King Arthur holding Excalibur aloft, wreathed in flame, our brave Sir Knight called in his banners, took up arms, and raised his flag, attempting to go toe-to-toe with the PC Hollywood machine. Unfortunately, you and I both know that when the smoke cleared, there was really only one possible outcome. His proverbial corpse laid bare and for the birds to pick clean. It's not exactly difficult to imagine what happens when someone voluntarily jumps off the career cliff, no matter how altruistic the reasons. I suppose it's also equally as crazy to then be surprised by the results. Honestly, there might not be an actor more deserving of a second or third chance at the spotlight than the aforementioned John Cusack. Once the pinnacle of relatable leading men, now somewhere in movie hell, caught between a rock and a hard place, lost in a sea of mediocrity. Is it possible for someone to survive the fall if they technically never hit the bottom? I guess the only question left is, where does he go from here? I think the most John Cusack way to respond to the question would be to snatch the life out of the fourth wall, tell the audience to, in fact, go f*** themselves because it's his life, baby, and we're unfortunately bystanders and just along for the ride. Cue the rising rock soundtrack, fade to black.
I don't like to see so much pain, so much wasted, and this moment.
I came away with this with more respect for him than I had going in, and I like the range and the things that he's done, and I think it's kind of sad. And you know me, one of my many faults that I have, and I mean this sincerely,
you like John Cusack?
No, is that nothing rips me out of the frame quicker than this notion of, well, that's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe in fairness.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that people should be fair, things should be fair. And anytime, I mean, I lose all sense of composure and self-control when I am faced with something that's like, I will drive off the bus. You know, it's like shooting your foot to spite your leg kind of stuff. Somebody that is as talented as he is, and take him out of it. Just talk about actors in general that are starting to age and don't look like they're, you know, you and I have said before, sometimes in the movies, everybody just has to look like they're 19, 20 years old. And this concept, I want to go to a movie, I want people to look like real people. I don't want them to all look like supermodels. And I just think it's kind of not fair. And some of the best movies I've seen, people look normal, and don't look like they just, you know, are, you know, makeup and hair and all that kind of stuff. I just think it's just not fair. I think somebody as talented as he is, he should be making good movies, and Hollywood should be bending over backwards to offer him the chance. The lightning in the bottle is already there.
Why does Hollywood need to bend over backwards for him? I don't get it.
Not just for him, but it's this notion of, like, you don't have to. Look at the movies that we saw in the trailers, and we went and saw Civil War. Twisters. There is no reason whatsoever to make twisters.
Nope.
Okay, we don't need it. The War of the Planet of the Apes was one. We've been seeing this forever, kind of stuff. I think if they were to take a quarter of the movie money that they spent on Twister, and they gave it to John Cusack and to Brendan Fraser and say, make tomatillos.
Again, I'll say to you, it's a business.
I know.
You can't sit there and have expectations for rich people and business heads to give a about
but
that.
Look, Madam Web, the amount of money that they spent on that, and
that hurt
tanked.
them, and that hurt them, and that's how you make a difference. If you don't want to see young people in leading roles, then don't spend the money on the movies.
It's not about, I think it was all around. It was the wrong people in charge of making decisions. It's the accountants that are doing it instead of the creative folks.
Again, you can be upset, but think about it objectively. It's a business. And I don't give a crap what you say or do. If you're an actor, that business has made you rich beyond measure. Shut up and fall in line. If you don't want to be there, no one's forcing you to be there.
I'm not arguing at this from the standpoint, because I'm not an artist. I'm talking as a consumer.
Mm-hmm.
And attendance at the movies is at a historical low.
And that affects
Now that
them.
has to tell you, okay, so it's like you keep trying to shovel the same stuff and hoping that people are going to do it.
And again,
the message is
businesses don't run on hope, they run on funding. And so when people aren't spending money, that's when it hits them in the pockets.
Well, no, because what they say is, what we need is, we need to make 5 more Marvel movies, because we had one that made $1 billion.
Again, but if they make 5 bad Marvel movies and people stop seeing it, then they may think eventually, well, we should probably stop making 5 Marvel movies that suck.
They did make 5 bad Marvel movies and 5 bad DC
and what is
movies.
Attendance is down. How many Marvel movies are coming out this year? Ask me. 1.
How many?
1.
Yeah.
That's how you affect change. one Marvel movie's coming out. You know why? Because they basically cut everything off. They see people aren't seeing these movies because they suck. It just takes time. You can't expect Hollywood to just change its mind. It's gonna follow the money. That's all it's gonna do. It's gonna follow the money. If you want to affect change, you told me this at a young age, vote with your dollars.
Welcome to Film Fight Club.
I don't hate John Cusack.
I also want to announce that we will be doing interviews for my new son. You feel really strong about this. I mean,
I feel strongly about, and I don't disagree with anything you're saying.
It makes me sad.
I'm just simply, I understand the way the world works, that it's a business.
Yeah, but it's always been.
I am 100%, I agree with everything you're saying. I just know that it's a business, and I can't expect people that follow money to do anything other than follow money.
But it's always been a business, and I've lived long enough to see that business work and see how you can have it all.
Yeah.
You can have the big movies, you can have the little movies, you can have the mid-range movies, and the audience is there.
People
want
need
things
to go
quick,
see those movies.
but everything has to be, we live in a world where it's instantaneous. People don't have a whole lot of patience. They want what they want now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we want to push a button and we want something delivered to us that same day or the next day. And instead of allowing people, I mean, I feel bad for the movies that you and I both love. If Shawshank Redemption were released today, would it ever find the audience that it did? I know it didn't, but it did eventually it did.
I think that's a perfect point for me, right? Shawshank Redemption was a good movie. It got released. It found an audience, right? If it's a good movie, people will see it eventually. And you just have to spend your money smartly. Stop going and seeing Madam Web at the movie theaters.
I'm going to cry.
You just need to keep fighting the good fight.
Well, I try. But you know what? Even you and
I stopped going to see Marvel movies.
We're not trying to bust on...
No, but I vote with my dollars. That's why I've stopped going to see them, because I don't agree with how good they are. I feel like they're just spoon-feeding us crap because I think we're going to continue to see it, and that's why I don't see it.
Well,
DC learned. DC rebooted things real quick and right of the ship and stopped trying to push the crap and said, let's try to make some good movies. Trust me, these big expensive movies hurt their pockets more than a failing small budget movie. So it don't take a lot of flops for Disney to understand that they're not doing things right, or whatever other studio.
Well, let's make a pact, you and me, that we will seek out, like for example, if we have a choice between, let's say that this was our choice, to go and see Civil War, which we did, or to see American Fiction. I would have argued, I'd like to see American Fiction. I don't know. I think you would have wanted to do...
Well, I've already seen American Fiction.
I'm saying if we hadn't seen
If we hadn't seen them, I mean...
you and I don't go and see movies like that.
Well, only because... Well, you never asked me to go see movies like that.
Would you?
I would see that movie. I've already seen Zone of Interest like 4 times.
You want to play catch?
The cat's and the cradle and the silver spoon.
I saw listened to that the other day, and I thought of you, and I thought, holy cow.
I put that song in a couple times on our episodes.
No, I agree with you. We're going to vote with our dollars and do more of that. We're just sort of going on and on. I don't know how to end this. Did we end 10 minutes ago and we just didn't know?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. We could just say our goodbyes.
You can edit kind of stuff.
But
anyway,
all the time.
We'd love to know what you think. Love to know. Go watch a giant. I mean, here's the thing. People of your generation, have they seen High Fidelity and Grosse Pointe Blank?
Probably not.
Your life will be better if you watch those 2 movies.
Yeah, Grosse Pointe Blank, High Fidelity, perfect for him.
It is.
And Runaway Jury. Runaway Jury's.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's good. Oh, man. Makes me want to go watch it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I don't have that.
Oh, because you got Gene Hackman and you got Dustin Hoffman. I mean, the act is just off the screen kind of stuff.
That movie came and gone when it was out in theaters. And I didn't even like.
And I read the book. It's better than the book.
We're doing it again.
Go, please. Yes, we're doing it again. So anyway, we'll see you at the movies. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you had fun.